Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So here we are with our session number 189 for Quranic Arabic grammar, in which we are learning Surf and Nahw of Surah Taha. So there were questions that were left unanswered in our last session. So we will inshallah start with those questions. In the last session, we went over a very special an that was called an mukhaffafa, and anyone can tell me what is if you have to say an mukhaffafa in English, how will you describe it, my dear students? What can be the description for an mukhaffafa? Just a translation for an mukhaffafa would suffice. Yeah, anna, that has been made lighter, lightened form of anna, right? So whenever you think about an mukhaffafa, what should come to your mind? It should remind you of anna, which is one of the hurufe nasiba, also called harufe nasikha, and it is also called harf mushabba bil fail. All these names are given to anna and its sisters, which are inna, annaka, anna, layta, la, alla, lakinna, right? So this an mukhaffafa that we have covered and gone over in our last session is a lightened form of anna. And what happens to mudari after it? You are seeing an an, and what do you expect to see after an? You are expecting to see a mudari mansoob, but with an there is no change. Is it possible that sometimes you can have la between an and mudari mansoob and it blocks the effect of an and does not let it work on mudari? Can it ever happen? Have you ever heard of it? No, you never were taught this. You never ever were taught this, that there will be an and there can be a la in between, and it is going to block the action of an, right? It's going to still make mudari mansoob, but when you see something happening with there is an and there is no change in mudari, that immediately should ring a bell and should take you to an mukhaffafa min an nasakila. Okay, so in that we have covered. Okay, now I have a quick question from all of you. If it was Allah yarji'a, what would come to your mind about la? If there was a mudari that was mansoob after Allah, what would you think of? Barakallahu fiki. Very well done. You will think about la mutarida. The number one, your mind should go to la mutarida, right? The la that you can see between harf nasb and mudari mansoob. The la that can come between harf jazm and mudari majzoom. The la that can come between Mawsoof and Sifa and Sahibul Hal and Hal, right? All those things. And then sometimes some scholars may say La that can come between Jar wal Majroor, right? Bila ta'khirin. And you have learned all these in your, in Surah Taha as well. So this was all covered in the earlier sessions. Alhamdulillah. So, but here we are dealing with a la and an, after which mudari is in its regular form. So in this case, you only and only should be thinking about an mukhaffafa min anna thaqila. And the clues that you were given, there were 4 lams that you can expect to see after an mukhaffafa. Can anyone remind? Almost 4, if I'm not mistaken. Lam, lan, la, and there was one more, I think, low. Very well done, right? So what are the 4 lams that you are going to see after an? Let's do the 4 lams. I want you to memorize it like that, okay? So the 4 lams after your an, mukhaffafa min anna thaqila, can be Lan, lam, your la, and the last one was low, right? Everyone got it, right? That is how you have learned it, alhamdulillah. Then there were two scenes that you can see, that you can expect to see after an-mukhaffafa. Scene was sofa. What is the name for these haruf? Anyone remembers? What are these scene and sofa called? Istiqbal, harf istiqbal. Some have another name, tanfis, as well for it, but commonly heard name is istiqbal, and I want you to remember that, and that should suffice. So, is there something else that in any other harf that you can expect to see? Qad, very well done. So, so far, the four lams, the two scenes, and one qad, all of them are what? Ism, fail, harf. Among the three categories of words that you have been learning from the very beginning of your course, all of them are haruf. And these are the haruf that you expect to see after your an-mukhaffafa min an-thaqila, right? Everyone with me so far? The last three cases, I think, were you can see sometimes there can be a khabar of jumla ismiya. What is expected to be the khabar of jumla ismiya will be beginning with an. Is this clear? And we are going to go over it. Khabar of jumla ismiya, felu dua, and the last one, if anyone can remind, and this one jamid, fail jamid. And I when I learned it, and there are different teachers from whom I have learned this concept. So the first teacher I just learned up to these ones. Okay, so these were the only ones that I have learned. Okay, so that's that was good enough for me. Lam, lan, seen, sofa, qad, law. But then I saw all of these haruf, including la. And since it was commonly used, I thought that information is going to be incomplete if I don't put this la there. Do you agree? Then, when I went over Quran, I saw many examples of fail jamid that was having an an in the beginning. Okay, and these two fail dua and fail jumla khabru jumla ismi are not very common, but you may see more examples of fail jamid coming after an mukhaffafa. There may be one or two or three examples, but when you are trying to learn things in detail, when you are trying to collect gems from Quran, you want to collect each and every as much as you can. I hope you agree with me in that regards, right? So there was a question in our last session that why are we not considering this an as an tafsiriya, though what is coming after it is like a qawl of someone, which is Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So when you were learning an tafsiriya, what did you learn about an tafsiriya? What comes after an tafsiriya is what? La mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Okay, now your sentence is starting with a ism, right? Your sentence is starting with an ism, which is akhiru da'awahum. Last of their call will be all praise belongs to Rabb of the worlds, Lord of the worlds. So in this case, when you have a mubtada in terms of this word akhiru, and da'wa is its mudaf ilayhi and hum is the mudaf ilayhi for da'wa, you need to look for a khabar, right? You need to look for a khabar. What is going to follow on is la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Will it make sense to call this construction khabar of this mubtada? Because this is going to be this jumla is going to be Sadiba, do you think it makes sense to call this as a la mahalla laha? Can this be la mahalla laha when I need a khabar for my mubtada? What do you think? When I have akhiru, I need a khabar, right? Which is akhiru is jumla ismiya, and akhiru is mubtada, and the aba is majroor bil idafa, hum is majroor bil idafa, and then I'm looking for a khabar, but I have something starting with an, right? So yes, so this whole thing is going to be في محل رفع خبر for this mubtada. It is not going to make sense that I call this an as an tafsiriya. I should never be confused about an tafsiriya. Do you remember the places where I expect to see an tafsiriya? What is seen before an tafsiriya? What were the commonly seen words before an tafsiriya? Tell me those. You were seeing af'al. You were seeing fails, right? So they were either failul amr, right? Or they were fail madin, something like that, right? If you remember, looking at your antafsiriya, and it can be followed, an can be followed by jumla ismiya too, but whatever is before it is ahidna. Ahidna, is it a fail? Yes or no? Tell me. Sami'na munadiyan yunadi lil iman. Sami'na, right? This one, yunadi lil iman. So this yunadi lil iman, yunadi is a fail. Awhaytu, fail. Awhayna, fail. Awha, fail. Wantalaqa, fail. Do you all agree? Every time you are seeing an tafsiriya before it is a fail, which has something missing. Nudu, fail, right? Nada, fail. Nadau, fail. Everyone, you all agree that any time that you were seeing your antafsiriya, there was a fail before it, right? So here, you may get confused here in this very example that this an is followed by qad. Should I call it an, what should I call it? So I am going to see, where is the placement of this an, right? There is something that is there, nada, ashabul jannah, ashabul nar. The people of Jannah will call people of fire, saying, we have found, indeed, we found what our Rabb promised us as true. So, isn't it the qawl of people of the Jannah? And this an is an of courts, which is also called an tafsiriya, right? So, there is no this should not make you confused about anything but an tafsiriya, because it is clarifying nada. And usually there are what are the main of all that you are seeing before these an tafsiriyas? You are seeing nada, awhayna, or awha. Mainly you are seeing those of all, right? Sometimes you are seeing filul amr as well, that is following this an. So you will, you should be able to figure it out with more practice, but you should never be confused about this one. This cannot be antafsiriya. I hope this was clear now. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so when you are looking into your jumla ismiya, focus on jumla ismiya. Don't start thinking about antafsiriya. It will be how sometimes I find some concepts being explained in an over some simplified manner. I will say that you will overcomplicate things here. This is the place where you can say that we are going to overcomplicate things, which we should not be doing, right? Quran is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for us, so we have to keep it easy for ourselves, right? So that we can understand and its message. Yeah. So now you can text that, you can type that your question right now. The next question that I was given was a question on Aisha, you can most certainly type your question. There was another question that we had in our last session when we were talking about for the sake of tajweed. For the sake of tajweed, yes, yeah, it is just for iltaqai sakinain, because it was followed by a sakina, so the first letter got a kasra. Yes, I hope that was an easy question. Okay, alhamdulillah. So we have learned these two types of bulls, right? In our previous sessions, I think it was around 181, you have been taught two types of bal. One was intiqali. What did I do to this? My intiqali. I made another, yeah, sorry. And then there was ibtali. Everyone good with intiqali or ibtali? That one changes the topic. It takes us from one topic to another topic, and the other one negates whatever is before, and after it follows a sentence that is, that is a true sentence, right? After it is a correction or a true sentence. For example, as you can see, am yaquluna bihi jinna bal ja'ahum bil haq. Rather, he came with the truth. So this bal negated their statement that he has, he's intoxicated or he's under the effect of magic. Rather, he came with the truth, or he brought the truth, right? So this type of bal is ibtali, and this one where you are just seeing the change of topic, where you were learning zakarasma rabbahi. Sorry, it's very small for me. Um, فصلى ذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون حياة الدنيا. So here this bal just changed the topic from one subject to another. So it was just a shift from one subject to another, and you called it bal intiqali. So far, are you all with me? If you are, type 1. The question was, what was the question? So let me just check my phone one more time. Okay, so the bal is atf. Bal as an atf, right? That is this bal atf, or let me just see what Faiza has sent me. Sister Faiza is okay. So my question was, bal comes as under harufe atf. When it is ibtidaiya, it won't take the i'rab forward. Sister Saima was about to share the slide. Can anyone please help me locate the lesson number? Okay, so that was, I hope the slide was shared. But when you are learning about bal in detail, the first thing that you were taught was just a brief introduction of bal when you saw that in Surah Taha, and I wanted you to see that how you are going to label this bal, because it was followed by a sentence, so that information sufficed at that time. So now what do you see on my slide? I'm here with another classification. Can you all see this classification on your screens? Yes, so anwa'u bal atifa, and bal ibtidaiya, right? The type that you learned is bal ibtidaiya. What was the type that I taught you? Bal ibtidaiya, and I gave you the examples of bal ibtidaiya as well. Do you agree? And I think I got ahead of myself, but I'm going to ask you. I will ask you another thing, and then I will ask you if it now makes sense or not. Okay. The second type of bal that we have not gone over is bal atifa. What is the next name? Bal atifa. Okay, so when you are going to see the Nahw books written by Indo-Pak scholars, you are going to find everything under connectors. Everything is connector, okay? What are you going to find? Everything is a connector, atf, harf atf, okay? There is no, you may not find these words there. So just a disclaimer, you may not find this classification in the books that you are following. So just to clarify everything, start from the start. Two types of bal, one is atifa, one is ibtidaiya, okay? Then bal ibtidaiya, harf ibtida, which is further subdivided into two types. One is bal ibtali and the other is bal intiqali. Bal atifa can be used for idrab ibtali and can be used as harf atf, which is giving you the meaning of lakin, which is istidrak, where it can correct something that has been mentioned before, and the sentence that follows it is a correct statement. So let me just quickly go over it. You are only going to call bal as harf atf, only going to call bal as harf atf when you see a mufridism after it. I'm giving a big statement, but for now, I'm going to stick to my statement and I'm going to follow this classification as such. What are you going to what are you expected to see after bal atifa? Mufridism. In these cases that you have learned with me, can you call this bal atifa? Can you call, Faiza, this one atifa? Why? Barakallahu fiki. I was about to ask you, why are you not calling it atifa? I have not even taught you atifa fully. How do you know? Because it is not followed by a mufridism. Everyone with me so far? When you see a jumla after bal, you are going to call bal harf ibtida. Okay? It is still going to do the job of linking sentences and phrases, but the name given to this type of bal is going to be harf ibtida. Okay? It's going to be called harf ibtida. Okay? Is this clear to all of you? Are you all with me so far? Okay. Now look at this one so that this makes complete sense to each and every one of you. Why is this so big? One second, my dear sisters. My slide is just so big. If I make it like this, how does it go? Oh, okay. I think I have to do it like that because it's, yeah, I'm going to guess now. Okay, so it is harf atf only when it is followed by a mufrad. If it is followed by a sentence, it is not going to be bal atifa. Okay, if it is preceded by a positive statement or imperative mean, amar, some, if command, it is going to act as harf atf lil idrab al ibtali. Okay, it negates what is before it and affirms in regards to what follows it. So when I say qama zaidun wal amr, what do I mean to say? Zaid stood, oh rather amr stood. So who stood? What do you think? Is it Zaid or Amr? What do you think? It is Amr who stood. Okay, so this bal, what did it do? Did it negate the standing of Zaid? Right? Did it negate the standing of Zaid? Right? Is this clear to all of you? So it did an ibtal. Some may just say that this word is there, and it just takes an action from the first ism to the second ism, and whatever happens to the second ism is irrelevant now. What does it mean? It means, I mean to say, that I don't know whether he stood or not, but I know that this statement is just showing for sure Amar stood. Did it make sense? Yes, so that's yeah. So the first way that I have tried to explain it to you is that when this statement is there, you know that that Zaid did not stand, and only it was Amr who stood, right? Clear so far? When you have bal, don't bring low, don't bring low. Why would you bring low there? Yes, la, la. Yeah. So yes, it'll like yes, you're right. Yeah. So yes, la atifa, just like la atifa. Yes. So think, yeah, you can think of it like la atifa, but don't, just because it's going to make things confusing for others, and because you may have, done it and understood it very well. Just focus on bal for now, okay? So that when bal is there, you are just negating the standing of Zaid, but you are affirming standing of Amr. Okay? Is this clear? As I said, this was the first thing that I explained, right? Then I said the second way to think about it is, the second view to think about this concept is, some also say that it is just telling you that Amr stood and it is not negating the standing of Zaid. Okay? while not negating the standing of Zaid. But I think if you can understood it this way, in the meaning of harf atf lil idrabul ibtali, I think it is going to keep things very easy for you all. Okay, just think of it like that. Zaid stood and Amr did not stood. Sorry, Amr stood and Zaid did not stand. Okay, just think of it like that. Is this clear to all of you? If I explain it this way, in both views, who is going to be doing the job of standing? Yes, in both views, Amr is the person who is standing. Okay, whether you ignore Zaid, but Amr is the only person who is standing in this case. Okay. Similarly, talutu juz'an min al-Qur'ani bal juz'aini. Now, how many juz did I read? I read 2, right? So what did it do? It negated whatever was before, which was juz'an min al-Qur'ani, and it affirmed what followed it. Kind of like la atifa, yes, right? Everyone with me so far? In both cases, my dear sisters, are these sentences, both sentences, positive sentences? Do you think? Yes, they are both positive sentences, right? Okay. Now, look at, and are these both sentences have a bal that is followed by mufradism? Do you all agree? If you don't agree, let me know and I can explain it as well. Do you all see Amr and Juz'ain? Both are mufradism, right? This bal is going to be harf atf lil idrabul ibtali, right? And it is following, what is the status? Are these two words following the status? Yes, status got transferred through bal, and this bal is definitely harf atf. Okay, now the second type of bal, that is in the meaning of lakin, it follows negation. Okay, it follows negation, or it follows forbidding. What does it follow? Negation and forbidding. Again, what I want you to know is whatever follows it, whatever follows it, whatever follows bal is going to be a mufradisa. Okay, and then you are going to think about bal atifa. If you see bal followed by mufradism, in that case, think about bal atifa. Everyone with me? So here you can see ma qama zaidun, but amr. My wow is missing. I'm sorry about that, because sometimes I do some I go cuckoo, and everyone does from time to time. Ma sama zaidun yawman bal yawmaini. So here, this is confirming what has been mentioned before, right? And also, it is, whatever it, the opposite, it affirms what comes after it, right? Make sense? Ma qama zaidun, bal is saying yes, absolutely, Zaid did not stand. However, Amr stood. However should make you think about bal. And here there is amendment, there is correction. The person who stood has been mentioned in the form of amr, in form of yawmain. Here ma sama zaidun yawman, Zaid did not fast for a day. Is bal you know is qualifying the previous statement? Do you think bal is there? It is, it's saying yes, it is not. Zaid did not fast for a day. Bal yawmaini, yes, he fasted for 2 days. Is this making sense so far? Kind of. Okay, then the last one is where you are going to see bal atifa with the meaning of lakin, when you see it after forbidding, which is la tusahibil kazib. Balis sadiq. So what are we getting here? Don't keep company of a liar, rather a company truthful, right? So this bal, it did it negate whatever was before? Is it doing negation, or it is just just fortifying? It is just solidifying whatever has been said before, and then it brings the correct statement after it. The corrective form comes after it, right? Make sense? The rectifying is happening after it. Everyone got it? Again, I did not intend to teach you that much detail of bal, but since the question was asked, I thought that it would be worthwhile explaining it to you, and so that all of my sisters can benefit from this. Okay? So, what is the main thing that you're going to take home from today's lesson so far? You are going to think of bal as harf atf when it is followed by mufradism in all these cases. Only think about it, okay? Keep this slide in mind, okay? Bal can be atifa, and it's going to be harf atf lil idrabil ibtali, and it can be harf atf lil istidrak, meaning bimani lakin, and that is only going to happen when a mufradism follows it. Bal is going to be harf ibtida, which can be ibtali and intiqali, right? If I asked you to give a name to this sentence, تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا, what is this sentence? Yes, I know you all know Jumla Filia, but I need a fancy name for this تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيا. When I'm calling it harf ibtidaiya, can you give a name similar to it, to this sentence? And you have learned these kind of sentences in Surah Al-Rahman. Very well done. Very well done. Jumla ibtidaiya, right? Then you have to call it Jumla ibtidaiya. And in that case, what should be the i'rab? Sister Faiza and Sister Diba have already given me the i'rab. It's going to be La mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Everyone with me so far? Okay, so again, if I give you bal ibtali followed by a sentence, in which case bal is harf ibtida, the sentence is going to be la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. There is no transferring of status, right? There is no, like, if this sentence was this and the next sentence is going to take on the status, because this harf is ibtidaiya, and ibtida means a new beginning, and every jumlatul ibtidaiya is going to be la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Okay? I hope this clarifies all your confusions about this harf bal. Okay? Now, my dear sisters, I already gave you a disclaimer. Your Arab book will have 2 lines, or your Nahw books, if you are following Urdu books, they will have 2 lines, and everything is, I think, 2-3 pages, and all ums and buls and lakins are there in 2-3 pages. So it is up to you how you want to follow stuff, but this is how I would like my students to learn it. Okay, inshallah. Okay, now there was another question that I was sent this morning. Let's take this question. It was from Surah Tawbah and verse number 68. Okay, 1 second. Yes, so my dear sisters, now comes your وَعَدَ اللَّهُ مُنَافِقِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ وَالْكُفَّارَ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ. Allah has promised hypocrite women and men and women and disbelievers fire of the hell. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا هِيَ حَسْبُهُمْ. It is going to suffice them. So there was a question about this sentence, right? And Sister Faiza, you seem to think that this is the hal of nar, right? And I absolutely agree with that. that, khalidina fiha, one hal, and then you can say that, hiya hasbuhum is another hal. Another question was, can hasbuhum be an outside doer? Um, in outside doer for nara, is that what you meant, Sister Rabiha? But hasbuhum, are we saying hasbuhum is an outside doer? Let me just reread the question. Okay. So the question is worded like this. This hasbuhum is in idafa. Is it ismu masdar acting as a file? For what is it acting like a file? Where is its fail? What do you think is its fail? Any fail that you think it is file for, my dear sister? Because the file is for a fail, right? Do you mean? Do you understand what I mean? um, File is for a fail. So this is, yeah, sister. Yeah, sister Rabiha, can you unmute yourself, please? Oh, you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ji, how is it like? I understand that this is a masdar. I'm just asking about hasbuhum. Like how is it acting? Like what is the combination? It's of course not the real idafa. Like it's not madaf. It's not idafa manwiya, right? It's idafa lafzi. So
Yes.
how it is acting? Like I'm unable because hasbu is not something whom is doing, right?
Yeah. So
And it is not well, yeah, I'm confused because it is from like I think it's something lazim like hasbunallah, hasbi Allah, all the time hasbunallah. uh, that that verb is confusing me, how it is acting here, like
I think
what is the relation?
yeah. So when you see idafa lafziya in 99, if not 99, at least in 95 to 99% of cases, what do we see? Whatever is there mudaf ilayhi, or whatever is coming some place after them, can be their maful bihi or can be their file. But we don't need to overcomplicate things in every case, don't you think? That sometimes we I would not overthink about it, and this I like to look at things from very close lens. I'm not kind of a person who will be myself satisfied with something very superficial. But in this case, I think I will just guess it is my um, idafa lafziya, but I'm just going to leave it as such. I'm not just going to find file maful bihi
Okay.
every idafa
uh,
lafziya. Yeah, if that makes
Actually,
sense.
myself, I got confused. Actually, I was doing tarjuma and translation, everything for this. So it's same thing came. So that's why I was confused that this
So
word always come in this form.
yeah, so your
So
sister
that
Dina has
it's not
written her
ism
answer.
fail.
Yeah, she has written her answer here. She is saying that mudaf ilayhi whom can be the file of masdar hasb. Can you hear, Sister Rabiha? And you have to, Sister Faisal, you always have to,
जी
whenever
सॉरी
there,
मैं पढ़ रही थी.
yeah. So every time you are going to see idafa lafziya, you are going to find you will find file or maful bihi for that. You do keep that in mind. Wherever you are seeing a surfable mudaf, which was you have been learning there, those which can be your masdar itself, and then your ism file, ism maful, your sigatul mubalagha, your sifa mushabba. Whenever you are going to see them in idafa construction, you always, as I mentioned before, you will have a mudaf ilayhi as its file or as its maf'ul. But the thing is, you all, not many of us are going to, sit down and, translate them and understand them as, who's a doer. But this is something that you should always, you have to always think about. Yeah. You may end up thinking about it. Is this clear? Can you tell us two types of idafa? This the class is getting very demanding, but I can, yeah. So if your mudaf is something like kitab or something which is not mutasarrif, like the words that I have just mentioned, it's a regular word, just like Baitullahi, Rasulullahi. And Rasul is also something that you can say that the sigatul mubalagha, but something like 1 second, I have stuff, my stuff here. So 1 second, I can, yeah, humbled by Quran. Okay, so this one, this is what you have been taught in this short series, if you remember. you know One is manaviya, your regular idafa. It's not a derivative, right? Not a derivative. Purpose is just to show ownership, possession, right? Right? Anytime you have anything like a masdar or derivative of a masdar, you have to think about, the mudaf ilayhi is either working as maf'ul or mudaf ilayhi is coming up as fa'il. These are the two options. Okay, everyone with me so far, right? And we have covered this topic when we were covering the topic of imalul ism, right? Ism acting as a fail. And what are those isms that are acting as a fail? Your derived ones in the masdar itself, right? So even you can include your your masdar too, that in this category. Your masdar is going, if your masdar is mudaf, like hajjil baiti, right? To perform hajj of the house. In that case, you can translate it as, that your hajj is word hajj is acting as a fail, and baiti can be the maful bihi for that, right? Right. So now this is what the question was on. And but I'm not going to, I just don't, personally I don't think of any every, not any, every idafa lafziya in that much detail. So I was, I think I wanted a simple answer. But what I was thinking was that you were calling because I got your first question, and I was like, this is a hal of nar, and I was thinking you were calling hasbu as the doer for nar. And I was like, this word is not from the category that is going to, it's a jamid word, and it can never act as a field, right? So that is something that threw me off. And then yeah, but you did explain to me, Sister Rabiha, that you were talking about hasbuhum, but still I was, I did not, I was not in that mode where I was taking every idafa lafziya and finding out file and maful for that. So barakallah fiki to Sister Rabiha and Sister Diba, who are, very keen students of Quran. Barakallah fiki. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase your knowledge, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put lots of barakah in it, inshallah. Yes, barakallah fiki. So now let's come to what we were doing in Surah Taha now. From Surah Tawbah, we are going to travel to Surah Taha, right? So in Surah Taha, we were on verse number 85. No, not 85. We have covered that, and we were on verse number 89. Everyone, and I hope that this was all we were going to do in this so far, right? أَفَلَا يَرَوْنَ أَلَّا يَرْجِعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ قَوْلًا وَلَا يَمْلِكُ لَهُمْ ضَرًّا وَلَا نَفْعًا. So this sentence we have already covered. Any questions about this one so far? There is something I would still want you to learn from this sentence, but I will keep it for another day because we are running short of time. We only have 15 minutes and we can do it in our next session. So from wala yamliku, if you want to start, what kind of a sentence are you seeing here? Jumla fi'liya starting with waw atf, right? And la is your la nafiya lil mudare ghair amila, right? Yamliku is going to be your mudare marfu with damatul zahira. Lahum is your jar wal majroor and darran is your mafulun bihi, followed by wala naf'an. Who can give me the i'rab for this? Wala is la zaida. Okay. Is this la zaida lil qasam or is this la zaida li tawkidin nafi? Li tawkidin nafi. So what are the criteria that must be met for this la to be labeled as la zaida li tawkidin nafi? First condition is it must follow negation or forbidding. Second condition is it must be preceded by a vow. And the last condition, which no one should forget, what is the last condition for la zaida li tawkidin nafi? It must be followed by a mufradism. And is every condition met here? Right? Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Now, this verse is, I hope, clear to all of you. Before I go on to verse number 90, I have a question about this jumla alismiya here. Lahu khuwarun. What kind of a mubtada are you seeing here? Common mubtada. Is common mubtada allowed? Yes, it is permissible to have common mubtada. Why in this case you are allowed to have common mubtada? What is the reason? Barakallahu fiki. The reason, one of the reasons among 12 different reasons for a mubtada to be common is if your mubtada has jar wal majroor or zarf coming before, it is allowed, it is permissible for your mubtada to be common. Everyone with me so far? Alhamdulillah. Now you are seeing, is the order correct? Is the sequence what you are expected to see in a sequence? Is this how your sequence should be? Sister Deba is saying, yes, this is how this sequence should be. Sister Serena is disagreeing. She's saying, no, sequences should be mubtada, khabar, and mutalik bil khabar, right? That's how you have learned it, right? Mubtada, khabar, mutalik bil khabar, right? So, what happened to the sequence here? This is an unusual sequence, okay? Okay, now this, some of you are saying, because of common mubtada, this is permissible, okay? That's what you are saying, that, it is permissible for a mubtada to be muakhar when it is common, right? Let me tell you, I'm going to say it is wajib. I will call it wajib for mubtada to be muakhar. It is wajib. What is wajib versus jaiz? Wajib, it is obligatory. There is compulsory. It is compulsory. Something being permissible means jais, like, you can have it and you may not have it. But when something is said to be wajib, that means that there is, there is no ifs and buts, okay? It has to follow this order, okay? Is this clear to all of you? This is one of those cases where it is wajib for your mubtada to be muakhar. And what is the reason? What is the reason? What is reason for mubtada to be muakhar? Because it is common. It is common. It has to be. Okay, and it is common, it has to be. Okay, when your mubtada is a mufrad ism and it is not specified, it has no sifa, it has no idafa, mudafi ilayhi, it is it is wajib for that kind of a mubtada to be muakhar after jar wal majroor. Does it make sense? How many of you are understanding it? Okay, so this is something I want all of you to know, that when it is going to be wajib for your mubtada to be muakhar. Okay, so when you learned about taqdeem wa ta'khir, what two things I want you to focus on, and I'm just shifting my discussion to this because I just have 9 minutes left before we go on to learn something new. I think we can just re visit this topic that we have briefly covered here and there. Okay, inshallah. So when it comes to taqdeem wa ta'khir, what is the meaning of taqdeem? If someone can give me English translation or their own meaning. No, no, no. Taqdeem means to come earlier than expected, like coming early, very well done. And ta'khir means to be delayed, right? Taqdeem, to be early, ta'khir, delayed. Okay? Taqdeem, something is earlier than it is supposed to be, and ta'khir means something is later than it is supposed to be. Okay? So taqdeem or ta'khir, if in case of jumla ismiya, you will see taqdeemul khabar. In case of jumla failure, what do you learn about? You learn about taqdeemul mafulun bihi. Okay? Rest does not matter. In Arabic, in Fusa Arabic grammar, the two cases where you are going to worry about taqdeem wa ta'khir is going to be taqdeemul khabar in jumla ismiya, in case of jumla ismiya, and taqdeemul maful bihi in case of jumla fi'liya. Everyone with me so far? When we learn its hukm, what is the qaida which we are going to follow in this case is taqdeem or ta'khir can be wujuban, mandatory, obligatory, and it can be jawazan, which means it is permitted, it is permissible for a word to be muqaddam or muakhar. Is everyone with me so far? Are you understanding what I have told you so far? Alhamdulillah. If I give you these words before looking at my slide, otherwise look at these words: mata, ayana, aina, kaifa, anna, sorry. Mata, ayana, aina, kaifa, anna. What are these words? These are asmaul istifham. Everyone knows them as asmaul istifham. It is going to be wajib for these words to be muqaddam. If you start writing a chapter of taqdeem wa ta'khir and start writing that this is muqaddam because it is special, because it has been made very special, will it make sense? Will it be right? It's going to be a very wrong understanding of Arabic grammar if you say any of that. Okay, always remember, for these words it is a sidaratul fil kalam. They must be in the beginning of the sentence. Mata nasrullahi. Mata nasrullahi. Where is the mubtada? What is the mubtada here? Nasr is the mubtada. In case of ayana mursaha, what is the mubtada here? Mursa, right? Mursaha is mubtada. Aina shurakaukum. Where is the mubtada? Shurakau, right? Where are your partners, right? Those you used to claim and tazamun. Everyone with me so far? Kaifa haluk, a very common Arabic statement. In this case, you are mata. Can you call it a mubtada and khabar? Can you, will it be right in terms of words? Mata, ayana, aina, first three. Will it be okay to call them mubtada or khabar? In the most sense, how have we learned it? So far, whenever we are seeing zaruf, we either call them, in case of jumla ismiya, how do we label them? In case of jumla ismiya, how did we learn? Muta'alliq bil khabar. I told you in the traditional Arabic, how do the Arabs label mata, ayyana, aina? If I asked an Arab to bring to give i'rab to mata, ayyana, aina, what are they going to call it? What do you think? What are they going to call it? They are going to call it zarf, shubu jumla, right? Zarf, shubu jumla, and they are going to call it fi mahalli rafa khabar. They are going to call it, because remember, from the beginning of the course, when I taught you jumlatul ismiya, I taught you the three that I taught you my way, and I told you that traditionally there are three types of akhbar: mufrid ism, jumla, shubu jumla. Mata, ayana, aina. They not shubu jumla because they are zarf, right? They are shubu jumla. So they may just call it, I don't want to confuse you. That's why I just focus on mubtada, mubtada, mubtada. I was focusing on mubtada, that focus on your mubtada being delayed. Because mata, ayana, aina, if you call it mutalik bil khabar or you call it khabar, it does not matter to me. It's right both ways. Okay? But it is confusing sometimes when you are finding something to be labeled as now khabar, which you have been learning as mutalik bil khabar throughout the course, right? But does it make sense? Is it making sense to you now that your khabar can be of three types, and traditionally Arabs may call it, they call shubu jumla as khabar. So your mata is your khabar muqaddam, and nasrullah is your mubtada muakhar, ayana is your khabar muqaddam, and if you want to call it mutalik bil khabar muqaddam, I have no objections to that. Your mubtada has remained muakhar in all these three cases, yes or no? Right? Alhamdulillah. Okay. So in these three cases so far, and now we are going to learn about kaifa haluk. Again, another word, istifham, ism istifham about hal. Haluk is again mubtada muakhar, right? And it is mandatory for it to be muakhar because kaifa is among the words that must be in the beginning of your sentence. Then comes your word anna, which means from where. Ya Maryamu, anna laki haza. From where is this? So anna, if I say that, anna is your khabar muqaddam or mutalik bil khabar muqaddam, and haza is your mubtada muakhar, and it is wajib for haza to be muakhar, do you have any problems with that? Should you? For these words, they must be in the beginning of the sentence. Just like when you say, when are you? When is the help of Allah coming? When must be in the beginning. When is its time of establishment or its anchoring? When must be in the beginning. Where are your partners? You must have where in the beginning of the sentence in English. Kaifa haluk? How are you? Your how must be in the beginning of your sentence. You are how is a wrong English. Partners are where is a wrong English. Mursa is when is a wrong English. Help is when is a wrong English, right? Similarly, in Arabic, mata, yana, aina, kaifa, anna must be in the beginning in case of jumlatul ismiya, though they are going to be labeled either as khabar or mutalik bil khabar when it comes to zaruf, but kaifa is going to be only labeled as khabar. Is this clear so far? Aisha, are you with me? Did you got it? Did you get this point that, mata anna is from where? So it is also where, it's also zar. So it has a condition where it must be in the beginning of a kalam. In your notes, you all must write just like my when, where, how must be in the beginning of a question sentence. Similarly, in Arabic, mata, yana, aina, kaifa, and anna must be in the beginning of the sentence. Okay? Then comes something that we have covered recently in the past few months, that if your mubtada has a pronoun attached to it. Yes, I'm running short of time. My time was up, and I just wanted to just go over this slide which we have already covered. Okay, I think we should keep it for the next time, inshallah. And then inshallah we will finish this topic in our next session, inshallah. Okay, if you have any questions, kindly forward them to Sister Faiza, and I will be more than happy to answer. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sisters.